Oh, you're fine. He's going live, so you're good.
Testing. Can y'all hear me okay? Y'all here for the right people? Y'all here for characters who are secretly black? Ain't no way. There's like 200-300 y'all here. Okay, thank y'all. Appreciate it. Y'all ain't had none better. I appreciate it. Y'all sick of it. Oh yeah, he in this slide. Don't worry about it. He in this presentation. Y'all bear with me. I ain't ready yet. I got a couple more minutes. Now, none of y'all in here is shy, right? Like y'all will talk and argue and debate and stuff, right? Because here's the thing. I'm not saying I know people at DreamCon. I don't, but this is the third year in a row they let me do this, and every time this gets bigger and bigger, and they will put this on Twitch and Instagram. I got 3 mics up here. I'm gonna call on y'all if y'all disagree with me. We gonna debate, we gonna talk. Y'all cool with that? Yeah, cool. So you're mad. I'm not debating you. There ain't gonna be no debate on that side of the room. I love you. How the Twitch back there? Is it on? Is it working? It's good? It's live?
Yeah.
All right, y'all, let's dig in, let's dive in. All right, everybody, welcome to Characters Who Are Secretly Black, Part 3. My name is Bradley Spears. I'm known online as TheBlackSpeed. DreamCon let me do this panel, back in 2021, and they let me come back and do this panel ever since. They keep giving me a bigger room, they keep letting more people come in here. So I don't know what I'm doing. I thought I was doing something wrong, apparently I'm doing something right, so this is great. And the whole point of this panel is basically just, we all grew up kind of watching the same shows, I imagine. We watched the same cartoons, we read the same comic books, we watched the same everything. But we always saw one character, we went, oh, that dude black, that girl black. That's what this whole panel is about. But it's not so much, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback, but I've also gotten some real criticism. That it's not about taking away black art. It's not about not mentioning Static Shock, or not mentioning Blankman, or not mentioning characters that we know are black. It's about, we don't get much as it is, and we find ourselves and we put ourselves in rooms where we don't belong. So if I see Skeeter and I go, oh, he black, you know what I'm talking about. If I see Duke and I say he black, you know what I'm talking about. You can disagree, but there's a lot of qualities and attributes these characters have that we just took and we made our own anyway, whether they wanted us to or not. That's what this panel is about. So hopefully y'all can be cool with that, but like I said, please disagree with me. That's okay. I don't care, but feel free to disagree with me. So, let's talk about what this panel is about and why we're here. So first, these characters weren't designed to be black. These are characters that are just something about the way that they talk, the way that they are, the way that they walk, the way that they move. We went, yeah, that person's black. It's also about finding pieces of ourselves in places that we weren't meant to be. I walked in, when I first got here, actually earlier today, we were in an elevator, and it was just the weirdest, dirtiest look I think I've gotten so far at DreamCon. And I've been very clear in saying, this is the nicest, most polite, kindest, coolest DreamCon I've been to in 7 years. And I saw, yeah. And I grew up in and I'm sorry, I know there's kids present, so I apologize. I don't want to say bumblefuck. But there's I grew up in bumblefuck, Mississippi. I grew up in Biloxi, Mississippi. So I'm used to going to bars and going to places. Yeah, Biloxi, country's hell. So I'm used to going to places where I get looked at when I walk through the door. And so I always have had to train myself to seek out other black people, to find where I belong, to find where I fit the most comfortable. That's what I do with these cartoon characters. They allow me to relate and they allow me to have conversation with people. And also, again, they aren't literally black. I'm very clear. I don't know why people hit me up on Instagram every damn day going, damn well, you're not black. I know that. That's not the point of this panel. The point is we find ourselves in these people even when they're not. And then we can talk about why that is. And then also, we are not a monolith, despite what we're told. I understand that I am going to have characters on here. Y'all should have saw when I had Lola Bunny and Danny Phantom last year. Everyone read me. I'm not debating with that today. There was reasons I had them on the slide. But the point being, because there were some people that told me that they saw blackness in Danny Phantom. They also said it in Lola Bunny, so I included them in the slide. That was a huge argument for 15 minutes. It ruined the panel. But that is the point of this. Is I don't think like y'all. Y'all don't think like me. Nobody here thinks like each other. We're supposed to be able to have that space and create that community where you can debate with me without calling me a piece of shit. Okay, so let's continue. So here's the first segment of my presentation. It's called, they black, right? This is where I'm not gonna debate you. This is what I think. This is what I know. So you're gonna see a character on here. I'm not asking you to debate me. I think that they're black and that's what we're sticking with. First character, Sandy Cheeks. This first segment is going to be about 5 to 6 cartoon characters. We're going to deep dive. I'm going to want y'all to grab a mic. I'm going to talk to y'all about these 5 to 6 characters. Not yet. You're going to come later. The next segment, I'm rapid firing about 10 of them on you. Then the third segment is going to be cartoon characters that I think may be problematic. And then the fourth one, which is what caused the most amount of drama and controversy, is the rapid fire round. Where I'm not going to ask questions. I'm going to rapid fire every cartoon character in the universe I think is black. So we're going to get to that in a minute. So first, let's talk about Sandy Cheeks. So Sandy Cheeks had an episode where she made Texas barbecue and SpongeBob couldn't handle it. It was too spicy. Only a black character can make food that strong. Also, she can and will beat your ass respectfully. She plays the guitar and sings. She's basically Beyonce. Right? Okay. She's good at setting boundaries. She always has time to check SpongeBob. She keeps it in check. She keeps it on up. Now, I'm looking up. Here it is. She's the only one in Bikini Bottom with a job, a degree, and a gym membership. I think I like that. She had a whole tree dome with a heat system and Wi-Fi. We call that black excellence to the sea of full of broke people. Just want y'all to know that. Now here's the part where it gets a little serious, and I think y'all can relate to this one. So what does it mean when a character like Sandy can build a rocket, she can bench press a building, she can cure the flu, but we never see her need help, make a mistake, or even take a break? So do we like Sandy because she's strong, or do we like her because she never asked anyone to carry anything for her? Oh, finger snaps, okay? Y'all can see nothing yet. Let me get to the slide. So, my question to y'all, and I'm just curious, let's see if we can get at least one person, some audience participation. Who taught you to be the strong one, and what does being the strong one mean to you? Was it a cartoon? Was it a parent? Was it a teacher? Or do you think you walk around being a black woman and the world just assumes you don't need no help? Thoughts? Anyways, you got about 1 to 2 minutes. Go ahead.
I'm gonna keep it.
I trust you. As
a black woman, and also low-key, keeping it a bean, I'm also a police officer. When I arrive on scene, people see me, I need to feel safe. They come to me like, I know you're gonna understand, I know you're gonna feel for me. I'm like, no nigga, you're going to jail. And then in that moment, you're supposed to feel for me, you're supposed to carry the community. No, you're bad. No, they're always telling me like, but how are you gonna be a black woman, support your community, be a nigga for the people, and you're gonna take me to jail? Nigga, you beat talking to me, telling me to fix the problem. I can't fix the problem. You're going to jail. So like at any moment, they assume I know what's going on, I know how to fix it, I know how to save them. I can't save you, but you saw me, black and a woman, and you assume she's going to take care of it. As a black woman, at Sandy Cheeks, the hot girl's world, she was like, I know how to fix it, I know how to take care of it, because there was never going to be anyone to help me. She had SpongeBob and Patrick. That's my team.
Okay, thank you. Now you're not about to rebut her, right?
Are you Gwen from Total Drop Island?
Funny that you brought that up though, right? Because my thought is both things are true. Sandy, she can be black in a way that resonates with a lot of different people, but also, but she also reflects how black women are often expected to be excellent, unshakable, and emotionally invisible, even when surrounded by chaos. So that's why Sandy's black to me. Now, let's get to So he's respected for his power, right? But he's never invited to the inner circle of celebration, joy, or softness. The reason being, to me, man, this clicker be lagging, bro. Black men are far too often portrayed as protectors instead of people. Piccolo's trauma, his sacrifice, and pain are brushed aside because, like what I'm used to, hey man, just handle it. Why are you talking to me about it? Just move on. His voice, don't debate it. He code switches over to making when necessary. Piccolo was always reminded that he's not one of them, even when he fights the same. Also, I don't know if y'all are familiar, this is going to go out to my 80s, 90s babies, but there was a show I love called A Different World. I don't know if y'all remember A Different World, but Tupac Shakur would guest star on that episode of that TV show. His character was named Piccolo. What are we talking about? That was his name. And also, that's not a turban, it's fucking do-rag. That is a do-rag on his hand, bro. Alright, so, the moment now. What does it mean that so many black fans saw themselves in an alien? Why do I identify with characters who are powerful but alone, respected but not loved? It's so cool that this clicked and I can just move and walk and talk to y'all. So both things are true. No. You didn't see that. You didn't see it. So Piccolo is legendary. The black folks didn't just claim him. He's been ours. But the reasons why, to me, tell a harder story. Black masculinity has often been reduced to stoicism, sacrifice, and solitude. Piccolo reflects that pain and our power, whether that was intentional or not. So, and a little funny anecdote story for y'all. I told myself I wasn't going to tell this story. But y'all go ahead and clap it up for me. I'm 13 years, stage 4 remission cancer. My 14-year anniversary is actually next week, so it's really cool that I get to see her. Let's move on. Suck it up. All right, so Panthro. So Panthro, the voice, obviously, that's easy. He has chain belt nunchucks and weaponized suspenders. Stop playing with me. His voice actor was Earl Hyman. He's a black man. Usher also was interviewed. Hey man, on the Thundercats, who do you like the most? He said Panthro. So there we go. Nothing more needs to be said. The writer and the animator for Thundercats, Leonard Starr, also literally says that he is, so it's canon. So to find an interview, Leonard Starr, who was one of the writers and one of the animators for Thundercats, said, I wish this was working properly. AV people, tech support. AV, is there a way to get another one of these clickers? Oh, that's it. Okay, fine. Who's gonna tell? Man, you're about to be. You're about to be, bro. All right, so his voice, so he was quoted in an interview as saying his voice should be deep and dignified while suggesting the black culture. And it's conversations like this that when I debate with people and they go, well, why do you think Panther is black? Why do you think Pickle is black? Why do you think these characters are black? You literally have people who create these cartoons for us, saying we're not for us, but they're using our attributes, our traits, our dynamic, and feeding it and selling it to everybody who don't look like us. So I actually thought that was really interesting that he goes, no, I need Panther to actually take these elements of black people. It's set in stone. So I don't know. I don't like the debate that you shouldn't pick characters who aren't black and saying that they're not black when creators who aren't black are literally saying make them black. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Now, Panther was the muscle, the mind, the moral compass, but never the heart. So this is a discussion now. Black men, this is tailored towards you. What happens when black men are allowed to be useful but not emotional? What do we lose when we're only respected and represented through our strength? Thoughts on that? Who got thoughts? Black guys, thoughts? You do? You gonna make me walk home? Test.
Hello, Kizu.
What up?
I just want to say one thing when it comes to this. For being useful, growing up, a single child and a single mom, so I had to kind of be the man of the house, but I'm still a child. I don't get the rules or the right to say this is wrong, we should do this is better. But whenever a problem came, I had to be there to solve it, no matter what, no matter how stressful it is. And then when I came to my mom about emotions, I don't get to do that. Who are you talking to? You the must lost your mind. I stay in the child's place. But when it came to work, a lot of that, I work for schools. So in the school system, there's a lot of problems, and I have to say, hey, funding needs to be done this way. We have to do this. No, we can't do that. Tell the kids cancel the yearbook, cancel all of the programs and designs. And I gotta tell them that, and I feel bad for them. But they look at me and say, why didn't you do something, mister? Why didn't you fix it? And it's kind of hard that I have to be that person to constantly fix stuff. When I do manage, yeah, I got some yearbooks, there's only 10. Well, we don't want them. I tried. And you don't get that ability. So we lose a lot of respect when we're trying to do what we can, even though we're trying to be strong for them. But we get all this complaining and criticism, and we're the ones at fault. But it's never really our situation to begin with. We're just thrown this disaster and expected to clean it up. And you can't really talk about it.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry, y'all, 1 second. All right, let's see what's good. That's close enough. Absolutely. All right, so Panther was iconic. He was a rare example of strength, intelligence, and black-like excellence at a time when cartoons barely gave you scraps as it is. But, man, I thought it was working. I thought it was good. It's all good. But he also reflects a limiting frame. Black men as tools, not people, as mentors, not main characters, as guardians, not someone you would react to guard. So now let's go to Marshall. This one's so easy. Now this is full transparency. Huh? Okay, look, I need y'all to understand something. When any character that I picked in this presentation, there was at least one article, one website, one video saying, no, they're not. So I had to just make sure that I went, you're wrong and you're dumb. Yes, he is. And now we want to talk about it. So Marceline. So when I went back and I looked at all the Marceline songs that she ever wrote, that girl basically says, like every song that she writes, she's sad, she's upset, she's trying to empower you. And you know, like every song is like, it's the first time she's ever heartbroken. So that's, she basically says something like, her bass guitar has a battle axe, enough said, and she flows instead of walks for people who are unfamiliar. That's called Black Girl Magic. Now, Marceline, to me, which I thought was interesting, represents the side of black culture that's often ignored. The alt kids, the soft girls, the black kids. And I like it was interesting because I remember like it's cool now that we can all, I know we all had that thought maybe one time. It's cool now that we can have DreamCon and we can all love Beyblade characters to me that she was ahead of her time. Everybody resonated, at least all the ones I was friends with growing up, they resonated with her the most. Like, when nobody trying to be out here being fucking Starfire, bro, trying to be Marceline. Alright, so, it's to me, so Marceline's a lonely, powerful, emotional being with a layered past, which resonates with the emotional complexity black girls are often denied in media. Now let's do my favorite one in this entire segment, Skeeter. I love Skeeter. So this one is going to be fun for me because I wonder how educational this is about to be. I think I researched Skeeter the most of anybody in this entire presentation, and it's some really interesting things that I found out. Well, let's get the easy stuff out the way first. He taught Doug how to dance and pool patty mayonnaise. The drip was crazy. Anything music related, he was gifted. His dad was always mad, even when he was happy. He rocks the flat top fade. The creator literally said so. And he has what I think I am going to coin the black best friend trope. So let's talk about what the black best friend trope is. So there was a, we'll say, filmmaker and director. I'm going to try to remember how to pronounce his name. Haile Gerima. I think it's Haile Gerima. And he was described as saying, what he would describe as a black best friend trope is what he called the white point of entry. And essentially what the white point of entry is, why would a studio insert their money to fund your film? So who is the white actor or actress you're gonna give me, and what black person is going to fuel his story along? So that is labeled the black best friend trope, and you all just thought of 10 people right now who are white. Your Brad Pitts, your Matt Damons, your Ben Afflecks, and they all have some black, Asian, or Mexican sidekick that moves their story along. So that is the black best friend trope that goes along with the white point of entry. Unfortunately, I love Doug, so let me not get this twisted. Doug is one of my favorite cartoons of all time. But I wonder how popular, how good, how cool, how fun watching Doug would have been without every other supporting character moving Doug's story. Doug went home and cried into his fucking journal in a dog named Pork Chop every night. But it was every other character. It was Skeeter, it was Roger, it was BB, who was also a black girl, by the way. It was every other person that helped Doug's story along. And it's a really common trope in both cartoons and in regular shows. So Doug creator, Jim Jenkins, said at one point, quote, "It's pretty common knowledge that Skeeter was African American." And I love that because I didn't consciously set out for that to be the case. I just thought he looked good blue. Joke's on you, Jim, he's black. Also, the executive producer, Doug Campbell, said the show initially wanted to go around tackling race by making the characters different colors. He then said, look, we're not black people, we're not Mexican, but we want the cartoons to speak to all groups. How do we get past the barrier of ethnicity? And Jim said, let's try coloring them all different colors. So I thought that was pretty cool. So Jim, I don't know, like, I don't do the whole, you're invited to the cookout, you're invited to the cookout. We giving out too many damn cookout invitations as it is. But Jim Jenkins gets it all. Okay, all right. Now, let's talk about what it means when black characters are always the one offering advice, support, and rhythm, but never the ones breaking down, failing, or just being messy. So, question, do we remember Skeeter because he was cool, or because he wasn't allowed to be anything else? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Testing. You know, one thing I love about Skeeter is that he was never afraid to be himself. And I think with him being a black character, like, he could hoop, he could skateboard, and just everyone always just went to him because he was just a jack of all trades. I know black people, we got our hands on a lot of things. And I really think that was always awesome that was a great representation in that matter. So, like, Skeeter was just him.
Yeah. Awesome, appreciate you. Yeah. So black characters often get kind of boxed into roles of emotional labor. It was kind of something that you were talking about earlier. We're expected to help the main, usually white character, discover courage and confidence and authenticity, but we never watch Skeeter be vulnerable, confused, or fully human. So, he confused at times, but his confusion, nobody fixes Skeeter's confusion. confusion. Skeeter's confused, Skeeter fixes it. Skeeter's scared, Skeeter fixes it. Skeeter broke, Skeeter get a damn job. Doug on the other hand, when he's confused, he has Skeeter. When he's upset, he has Panic. So think about all these characters that we all like and still probably like to this day, but anytime they had an issue, did they fix the problem themselves, or was there somebody else they knew they could call and they'd come running and help them out? Yep, somebody else. So both things to me are true. Skeeter's dope, he felt familiar, he was loved, and he was ours. But he's also a mirror for how blackness is used as seasoning and not substance. Yeah, I told you. Oh yeah, go ahead, yeah. Yeah, get a picture of that. Yeah, get a picture of that. All right, so this one was controversial, and it caused like this 15-minute debate, and I still to this day don't understand it, so maybe y'all will debate it and let me know why. So this one is Goofy. And it was fighting last year about this. So many people, they do not like Goofy being black. They don't like it. And some of y'all ain't here now, so we'll get to that in a minute. Let me give a disclaimer about Goofy, and I need y'all to be real honest, and there's a disclaimer that I have to do. I'm not gonna say the N-word, like I'm not gonna say it. You can say it like you'll be my translator. So I'm not gonna say it, but there's an article from the 1930s involving Goofy that I'm gonna bring up because I think it's super important, so I just wanna let y'all know. Don't be pissed at me, pissed at racists from 1935. Okay, so I just want y'all to know. And we'll get to that in a minute. Now, let's get through the fun parts, and some of the fun parts first. Everything about his vibe screams down south. He knows how to two-step badly, but a lot of heart, so we give him credit. That man was raising Max on a budget as a single dad. But, and this is where it gets real frustrating for me, he was based on racial stereotypes of the time, and he was originally called Dippy Dog. Show of hands, be honest. How many knew Goofy's first name was Dippy Dog? See, that's why I mess with y'all. That's why I mess with y'all. So let's talk about, okay, here comes the fun part. So y'all take your time, y'all read it. I'm not gonna read it out loud, y'all take a look. This is an article, and it's a descriptive character analysis from the 1930s about the guy who made Goofy, Art Babbitt. So I need everybody to remember something. I just talked about the black best friend trope. There is no world where characters from whatever time, even till today, that usually get made, where we are the heroes, where we get to move our plots along, where we are the main focus. Goofy is made as a plot device for Mickey Mouse. And I don't even think that that's that controversial. It's very clear that Goofy is never the main character of any story that he's ever been in until a Goofy movie. And then we don't ever see Mickey raising anybody. We don't see Mickey mistreats his dog. You don't talk to Minnie at all. He's a deadbeat. And then you have Goofy who gets his own movie and he's reduced to being that right there. So I just wanted y'all to see that. And there's more. If you Google and you kind of really deep dive your research, start reading the character analysis of Disney characters and Nickelodeon characters. Shockingly. Read what they thought of those characters and then watch how their characters slowly changed when they saw that they were starting to be popular with non-black kids. I meant for this character to be a caricature of you, and yet they're so popular with white people and Asian people and Mexican people and every other person. I'm gonna change it because now I think I'm being offensive to them. So white people will get offended and now they'll change the character, but not because you're offended. You don't matter. So I just want y'all to remember that when you think of these characters that I know they're ours and we made them ours and we're used to taking words and themes and bars and restaurants and buildings and we're used to making them ours. But remember that even goes down to cartoons from 60, 70 years ago. So, why do we as a culture, and this is a question, this is a fun one and I'm going to answer this, why do we as a culture immediately recognize Goofy as black? Is it the cadence, the kindness, the fact that he's goofy without being a clown? Is he really a black father figure, or is he just a working class dad? And I'm gonna give it to the father figure, right?
Hello, everybody. Y'all can call me here. Goofy is one of my all-time favorite characters, and he is a fantastic father, like you said. And I'm a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts as well. Goofy is a very prominent character in that whenever something's happening and people can't seem to figure out what's going on, Goofy is always the one who has the answer. And he doesn't get credit for that. And that's very similar to the black man when he is very intelligent or develops certain things. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. And the head of the engineering building for the University of Cincinnati is a black man.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's the only black man in that building. And it wasn't something until I actually got to that point. I'm just thinking, why do I not know this? Like, it's just not talked about. You don't get that credit. He doesn't get his credit for being a good father, for being a wise dog, you know? So, that's what.
Awesome, thank you. Now, can I ask, because what I want to ask is there, show of hands, is there anybody that thinks Goofy is not black, or we should not identify Goofy as black? That's going to be fun. Okay. I agree with you this.
All right, so I mean, like, if anyone recalls the actual movie, do you remember the very, very beginning where Max is doing that stunt with Powerline, imitating Powerline on stage, him and his buddies in it with him? He gets caught. The principal tells Goofy to get his kid in line, or he can expect his kid is going to end up in jail in the electric chair. Everyone involved got off pretty scot-free except for the black child in the single-parent household. Perfect record, no issues prior. One mistake, fix it, or he's going to jail. That's the end of that.
Good point. Right. Okay, so let me just so let me just be clear, because I don't want to put you on spot with words in your mouth. You do not think Goofy is, I'm just using black coding because I don't have a better term. You don't think Goofy is black?
No.
Let's speak on.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying not because I don't think he's not black. I've just always seen Goofy as a wonderful dad. I'm just saying, like, you know. I'm just saying, I never, what I'm saying, to be clear, I never thought of him to be black. I just always loved this character, because like Goofy is a great role model, because like you said, you broke down all the great things that make him an awesome dad. You know what I'm saying? Now, just going through this panel, that changed my mind. He's a great person. Goofy's awesome. Like. I'm not saying he can. I'm just saying I never saw him. No, absolutely. No, I'm just saying I never saw him as a black character. I'm not saying I still don't. You're
not saying that he can't be both a good father and black.
No,
your first thought wasn't straight to black.
No.
Oh, this is a good dude, and now my mate think he's black, but that's not your first thought.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Hey man, I ain't gonna do that too. I think what you're trying to put down, brother. See, this is what happened last year. This is exactly why I almost didn't put Goofy in the damn slide. Go ahead.
I understand where you're coming from. I think the whole point of this panel, though, is to ask yourself, but why, though? Why did you think he was a good person? And what about him did you relate to? And what about him felt connected to you? Who commonly feels that way? Who commonly feels that way or goes through that experience? Black people.
Like who commonly right? Like who commonly feels like they have to.
Yeah. Who feels like they have to question their purpose after raising their children? That's what I'm saying. I get where you're coming from. No, I understand you, but I'm saying, but then we have to take it to that next level of, but why do we feel ourselves
Fair, appreciate you. Appreciate you. Did you still want to? Of all the characters.
I just personally wanted to speak on, I was raised by my grandfather. So the thing that stood out to me watching Goofy movie growing up in Louisiana is that he was always hard on PJ, but not Goofy. And so I think if we as black people, we are hard on our children because we're trying to prepare them for what's going to come up, and he decided to take a different path. I'm going to speak to him, I'm going to hear him out. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to be hard on him because that's what we're conditioned for. I'm going to be softer to know that when he sees something or encounters something hard, he knows that that's something he needs to get away from. He can still come home. So that's what spoke to me about Goofy and how he relates to my grandfather. So that's what spoke out. That's what sits out to me for Goofy.
That's all. One thing I'm gonna say on that is funny because I have a 10-year-old and he has autism, and that was real different for me. First of all, there was no such thing as autism when we were kids. If you went and told your mom and dad you had autism, you was smacking the fucking mouth. Like there was no autism. It was go to your room and go to sleep. And my dad and my mom were very, very hard on me. Like very, very hard. It's weird how sensitive I am today because of how hard they were. But I told myself, and I told my son, I will never do that to you. Like you can talk to me anything on this fucking planet you want to talk about. And he does. That dude is 10 years old and has the brain of a 39-year-old man. And he wants to talk about everything under the sun. And I have to think, I can't bash my mom and dad for that because I think that a lot of what they did, it made me who I am today. And it made me be soft on my son. And I can give him something that my parents didn't give me. And I think that that's kind of the point. Just keep upholding generations.
Another perspective I'd like to offer is, I'm not a parent, but rewatching the Goofy movie, especially once being older since I was a little kid, I definitely did relate to Max a lot, especially because like you see Goofy knows how the world is and knows how the world treats, unfortunately, our black children, and so he was trying to set Max up for success, even if he came across as overbearing, like, we gotta go on this road trip, we gotta bond, and then I remember resonating with Max, because like my mom would be the same way. I'm like, okay, why is she always on me? Like, leave me alone. But at the end of the day, it's really because they know how the world is, unfortunately, and they want us to succeed. And so they are hard on us because they know we have to work twice as hard to get even half of what our peers get.
Facts. Thank you. I appreciate that. And are you my security now? Well, you are a cop. So Goofy, and by the way, thank y'all for that. Thank y'all for being honest and vulnerable. I appreciate that. I appreciate it personally. So Goofy is one of the most emotionally honest dads in animated history. He's loving, he's flawed, and he's sincere. And yet, he's always being laughed off, even from the 1930s, for just being a goof for decades. And that is the first segment. How'd that go? How was that? So this one I call, speaking of Kingdom Hearts, it was funny because I did simple and effective, and it made me think of simple and clean, and I was kind of rocking with it. So these are ones where we're almost to the rapid fire round. These aren't really deep diving. These are just ones I went on Google and everything else, and I said, you think they black or not? If I found one thing that said they black, I put it in here. So here we go. And I agree more than I disagree. Some of these even I disagreed with, but I wanted to be unbiased with a panel, but I'm gonna be asking y'all every character I bring up. If you disagree, raise your hand for me. So first, Sprite Lock. Disagree? We started off easy. I was even gonna be easy now, but it's hard to do this day. So he's voiced by Gary Means. He's black. His hair is literal fried locks. He would constantly say, I ain't mad, I'm just disappointed. And T-Pain portrayed his character in the live action movie. Okay, that's okay, so speaking of Rada, if he said Rada was basically She's always putting on a brave face in adversity for Fiona's sake. She'll let you know when a man is no good. And her show is responsible for the confirmation of Marshalling being black, so she got points for that. All right, numbers. Somebody live right now and raise your hands and say no. And say no, it's not black. Raise your hands and say black right now. You want to tell me? No, you agree? Oh, you agree? All right. So, Sonic and Richard 2 soundtrack is all about. And that music was fire on that game. He's built by Eaton's out. Those spikes are dreads. His shoes are the colors of Rastafari. They're not cool too. His original logo on his chest was for a Nike. I know that. So his original logo, they were trying to create a character. Sega was trying to create a companion piece to Sonic, but they wanted a way to, let's say, attract all kids. And they thought, I know what'll work. Let's put the blackest shoe company in the world right across his damn chest. That'll do it, because he's really fast, right? So what they did was they decided it didn't work for Sonic. It was supposed to be prototype for Sonic. It didn't work out, didn't test well for Sonic, so they had to create a new echidna, and they created Knuckles, and they slapped a Nike logo on his chest, and it took off. And he's ours now, so joke's on you. And he's the toughest character in the Sonic universe. Now, he always ready to knuckle up. We all watch it. Now this next character, I have such an affinity for this character, and y'all gonna rock with me. Loud, darn it. She's not black, she's a rock. Shut up. I don't want to hear that. I'm so sick of that argument. Like, no, I don't care. She's a black woman. She's honest. Right. She is a competition. They do a favor. All right, so Garnet, y'all know she voice mine still. Look at her hair. She has the best songs on the show. She's overcome prejudice and oppression throughout the course of the entire show. And she's the mom of the group, and we just had that conversation about how, what's the protector do? Okay, y'all good. Oh, look at police officer. Hey, cop, hey. And I thought that was an interesting piece that I wanted to put in here, that she's basically the mom of the group. And we just had that conversation that when black people are in the room, especially black women, you're expected to be the piece, and you're expected to keep things in line. And I just thought that any time, if you watch any episode where Pearl or Amethyst or Steven are freaking out, one person is never freaking out. And if she does, she unfuses or she freezes up. That's Garnet. She's always expected to be on her toes at all times. So I just thought that was interesting, because I thought that was familiar with probably what y'all face. Now, Will. I ain't gonna sit here and fight with y'all. I want to have a good Saturday night DreamCon. So I had like 8 characters up here, I cut it down to 3 that I thought would be the best discussion for me personally. Y'all might not agree with me, but I think that if you just open-minded, you see why I picked these characters. I think you're right. So let's get it out the way. The show that advertised colorism right in front of our face, the Grow Sisters. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Right. Let's have a debate. Let's talk about it. Agree? So y'all can see where I'm about to go with this, okay? There's a lot of different topics that the Grow Sisters bring up. When you just Google their name, like their damn name, and you add colorism to the end of it, it is article after article after article after video after video. And I sat here going, my ignorant ass love the Proud Family. And here, as usual, you're ruining it for me now, because now I'm rethinking what I like. And so we're going to dive in why people think the Grow Sisters and the Proud Family in general, unfortunately, is a very problematic show for black people. So first, do the Grow Sisters reflect a real part of growing up in our spaces, or are they just a lazy stereotype? If either are true, can both be true or are neither true? And I can give y'all the mic if y'all want, or y'all can just yell. It's up to you. Why are you bringing on roaches? We talking about how ashy their skin are. Why are you talking about roaches? No, it was ash. No, wait, did y'all not know that? Wait, did y'all not know that? Right, but did y'all not know? Right, the Lucas are ashy. I'm not saying they ashy. I'm saying they're literally ashy. Hey, you speak, sister. Hey, go ahead.
Okay, I do believe that both can be true because, if they really did want to highlight the whole, growing up poor, doing bad things, stereotype of black spaces, they definitely could have done better with their character design. Why are they blue? They're the only characters in the whole series that is blue. And guess what? You can say, maybe the triplets, the Asian triplets, but that's the thing. And the redo, they fixed them too. Why are they still the only ones that look like that? Like, wasn't there a whole episode where they gave the bigger sister cool makeup, made her look so pretty? So you're telling me you could have done that for an episode? Did such a good, design for that one episode? You're telling me you couldn't do that for the reboot?
Oh, I think y'all have a lot to say. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna be like 5 of y'all, man. I just gotta be quick. So look. Go back all the way. So look.
There's a myriad of the black experience is a myriad, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say that they are representative of they're not the most shiny, rosiest picture of anybody, you know what I'm saying? But the reality is, if you gonna sit here and tell me that you don't know no niggas that act like these niggas, I'm not saying, now listen. I'm not saying that I was even the biggest fan of the Grow Sisters, but I could not help but understand, or at least thinking in my mind and be like, dog, I know niggas just like this. Now they could have done better and shown another side of it, because even from my perspective, right, I would avoid motherfuckers like this. So I don't know what their life is like. And there's more to them than what they were shown in the show. So if we talk about them being problematic in that aspect, then sure, they could have done better to really round them out as characters. But I think sometimes we make a mistake when we see negative things about black people being shown, that we don't see that as the entirety of our continuum. We good and bad. We got positive and negative. And I wouldn't even say bad. We just respond to shit a certain way. We don't know, depending on how they live their life, this is how they respond. And then that's it.
I feel you. I appreciate that.
So I do think both can be true because
we do know people like them in real life, but we also have to think they're children, so they're gonna respond differently. And we gotta think back to when we were kids, the people that were quote bullying us for certain things, you know, they are reflecting the behaviors that they know in their home. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we think about them as a whole and relate to them in like real life and like stereotypes and whatnot, we have to think about like the kids who are growing up in poor economic situations and whatnot and don't have everything like how Penny Pride had and whatnot. So of course they're going to be a little angry. Of course they're going to be like, okay, this is how I'm going to get it. This is how I'm going to live. So I think that they do reflect both, but it is nasty the way they did them.
We gonna get to Penny Proud in a moment. Don't worry, we're gonna get to Penny, Dejanay, La Cienega, and everybody in 1 second. Go ahead. We're not just gonna pick on the girl sisters. Like, don't worry.
Mic check, can everybody hear me?
Yeah. Also, you can say that if you want to, if you want, because I think you're projecting more, but it's up to you. I'm good.
Also, sorry if my voice sounds bad. I lost it at Road and Sexy last night. But anyways, one of the things that also kind of stands out is like Penny Proud and the rest of that part of the family are kind of this model minority side of like the United States where it's come down to like you got the picket fence, the full family, the 2.5 kids. And I think something that a lot of writers and creatives struggled with at the time is how to display like any other form of contrast or different form of black living without reaching into like deeply racist segments. Like there's a lot of modern pieces now, like anybody's seen Sinners, you got like, no spoilers for it, but like you've seen Smoke and Stack, and like there's organic ways to present two very different forms of black living. But I think the part that like really riles people up when it comes to the Gross Sisters is that like the ways they show like this other side of blackness that doesn't align with the American dream is a different color from every other character in the show. Dressing down to like white and overalls, which draws all types of other imagery. Almost all of the discussion being down to their looks, especially if you see them against like the rest of the Proud family members. I think the thing that like upsets people probably the most is a lack of nuance when it comes to portraying different forms of blackness without just going straight back into color or straight back into other really intense racial stereotypes.
So I wish I had 3 hours to talk about the Gross Sisters. I have to move on. But I'm going to try to do a better job, if I haven't already, of calling on different people who have got to speak, who want to speak. So I'm going to be better about that. So let's agree to disagree, or agree or disagree. And we may have already touched on this. Their ashy skin color has become a punchline, but also unintentionally paints darker skin or unkemptness as ugly. And then also, why do we laugh at characters like this instead of demanding more from them? Is there a point where representation becomes mockery? The reason why I asked that last question, the reason why I put that in there, is I thought it was an interesting contrast, and please disagree with me, but I thought it was an interesting contrast that when it came to Penny, you don't see many of Penny's flaws in a way that paints black people in a bad light. When Penny got an F on a test, or when she badmouthed her mom, or when she talked back, or she fought her friends, you didn't go, I think, why is that black girl life like that? You went, why is she acting like that? But when Dejanay, who had her stomach out and she was darker skinned, was loud or abrasive, or had her 8 other siblings, you went, why is that black girl acting like that? And that's something you can easily find on the internet. And it was very funny to me that when people were talking about Penny, or the mom, or were talking about La Cienega, like they didn't mention black that often. But when they mentioned Sugar Mama, or when they mentioned Dejanay, or they mentioned BB and Cece, the kids, it was always black, 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 black. So I just thought that it was interesting that the few times you mention, or you draw, or have an opportunity to have dark-skinned girls on the show, more of their negative flaws to me were shown than the positives of Penny and her mom, and even Wizard Kelly's no-head ass. Like all of them were portrayed in their badness wasn't negative, whereas Dejanay's negatives, or even what's his name, Sticky, the dude Orlando Brown, I forget who he voiced, but they were okay. So I'm just curious, what do y'all think about that? Orlando Brown, there you go. Do we like Orlando Brown? Is he cool? Is he cool? We cool with Orlando Brown? He's straight now, right? We cool with him now, right? Yeah, you know what he do. That dude trolling everybody, bro. Like, I don't know.
I'm not arguing with the point that you're making, but I think the nature of writing an episodic show, part of the reason why we wouldn't look at Penny and feel like our main character, we see so much more of her character, right? Versus like the other characters, they're side characters, and they're almost entirely reduced to those little moments that we see of them, right? And those aspects that they are meant to portray. So like, for example, Luciana is our Hispanic character, right? And so everything she does immediately is gonna represent the Hispanic community, right? Rose Sisters immediately gonna like represent like the poorest of the poorest and people who take their situation and like act negatively because of it, right? So it's I would argue that it's not because Penny is like light skinned or comes from a better home or whatever like that. It's just for the nature of writing that kind of show, we just see more of her life, and so we get more balanced perspective, which is not true of the other characters.
Do you have thoughts though, or do you agree that? So let's say Penny, for example, we see 200 episodes, which is making up a number. We see 200 episodes of Penny, and we see her in the light. And then for every one episode, or excuse me, for every 5 episodes of Penny, I think we probably get 3 of Dejanay, right? So if we have 200 episodes of Penny and then about 140 of everyone else, why do we still have to see their negatives over and over and over, especially at the expense of boasting Penny?
Are you saying like why are they writing it that way?
Right, why are they writing it?
I agree.
Yeah. I agree with the thought.
Yes, because it's like I think in order to solve this issue, the writers have to be intentional about balancing out the stereotypes that the characters are. Like, for example, to your point about our middle Rose sister, when she had like her makeover episode, I think that was to highlight that like in a different situation, these people would be different, right? And like, in order to delve more into that, they would have to kind of go back to a similar plot point, perhaps, and they instead just move past, and anything more that we see of them is like from a different perspective for what they write up the show.
Sorry, someone didn't speak over there. How did they work today? I feel like Ricky Lake. What's wrong? It's fine. I'm okay. I'm power line. It's fine. Go ahead. I got it.
I see it as just the way they're portrayed is, yes, they're dark skinned, but they're also poor. So, at some point we have to talk about blackness in class. So, the dark skinned poor people with the who have like actually black names, Nubia. They're gonna be, especially if you have black excellence type people writing the show. You're gonna have Nubia who don't have any like feminine presenting clothes. Or you're gonna have Dejanay with her 6-7 brothers and sisters, but they're not Nubia. And then you're gonna have Penny with a more traditional sounding name, and Luciana who's the representation for everybody, and Zoe who's just a regular. Like at some point we have to talk about class.
And I remember there's a ton of conversations and debates I had where I would ask people, not to try to start anything, but I was really curious of how they thought, what was worse, racism or classism? And the conversations would always boil down, like it was a really interesting topic, because to your point, I want to be careful when I say this, but when I was younger, I used to go, racism. But then as I got older, I went, well, hold on now, like I don't know if you would let me in that space these days if I had this X dollar amount, or if my skin wasn't as dark. So if I was lighter skinned but had less money, would it be okay? Or if I was lighter or darker but I had triple the income, like, so I don't know. So I think that's an interesting talking point that I wish I grabbed on that next time. I think so too, and I think that's the whole point of these other 2 characters that I'm going to bring up, is that I think everybody was trying to argue why something is bad rather than saying, I think it's both good and bad. I think it's good that the Rose Sisters had some sort of representation, because to your point, I did know people like that, and I knew not to go down Lee Street, and I'm gonna cross Jefferson. I knew not to take my ass down there, because the gross dudes were down there. Like, I'm not going there. So there's nothing wrong, because like there's a reason why right now you got people making fun of the Cosby Show, and like if people watch the Cosby Show and they go, well, that's not real life, and it's like, yeah, the fuck it is. It's just not the only life. And I think that, to your point, I actually agree. I think, yeah, is that a horrible representation of people we know? Yeah. Also, maybe you shouldn't be that horrible person. Now let's go to the next one. All right, Killer Bee. most problematic black characters on Reddit that I could find, these three groups kept coming up the most. It's not so much a reflection that I think they're problematic, it's that more people than I thought think that they're problematic. So I'm actually good. So there's a world where none of y'all think it's problematic, I'm gonna skip it. But if you do, then let's have that conversation.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it's kind of crazy to think that Killer B is problematic. He wrote a rap song while killing off one of the strongest people in the show. And then he had to do, he was crossing those lines like he didn't know what to do with his head. He didn't know what to do.
Look, I was gonna cosplay him last year.
But I ain't gonna lie, like, to me.
Yeah, I got it. Like, let me just be sure. Okay, so who agrees that, okay, like, let me not use the word agree because remember, it's not that I think that. Who agrees with people who think he's problematic? Who agrees? Raise your hand.
Okay, I didn't think he was problematic.
Wait, I'm sorry, who's that talking?
Oh, this is me, sorry.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't find it problematic. I just, like, it was just annoying because his rhymes were, like, weak.
Alright, so he said he's about to cook this right now. So I'm gonna lock in, Twitch lock in. Please leave this, bro. Go ahead. You get a minute. Alright, let me start here.
Killer B is straight up problematic. Let me start with the very first thing. The only set of black people come in with lightning powers? Come on, son. And then he comes in as a corny wannabe rapper doing these bullshit raps like doing with this lightning. And I'm just like, bro, could you be more honest with your niggas? And then we get bad Black Panther representation on his friend's side too. It's like, how do you see any of this as positive? When we started off so negative, we started at negative 100, and then we started to get cool moments later on down the line. But it's like, we don't really see him do anything that we would want to see in black masculinity that's really positive as far as the Killer B goes. I don't see how you see it as positive.
God damn, look at all these hands. I'm trying to get like.
Yo, what's good, y'all? I think when I was younger, I saw.
Hold on. Let me speak. Go ahead.
Naruto was one of my first anime, and I remember being so excited to see a black character that it wasn't until like a decade later I rewatched some of this shit and saw Killer B differently. In that, like, yeah, obviously it's very cool to see a black character who not only like can fucking handle shit. Like, I love Sasuke, but seeing Sasuke get his ass kicked was like so satisfying to me, and having it be like a cool ass black character. But I think like we as black people deserve better representations in anime, just because like he's black and he like looks cool and he has like cornrows. We get so excited about that and don't think about the fact that like why is it that the first black character we get like is a walking stereotype? He can hit everybody's ass, which is cool, but that dates back to the fact that people thought that black people were just stronger than everybody else for like no reason. Why is it that like, why does he have to be a character who's like an oaf and like only like raps as he talks and all these like weird like catchphrases and shit? Like, I think we deserve to have more nuanced characters like in general. Like, nobody's saying Killer B isn't black, but we deserve to have, just like, I don't know, more nuance. Obviously, like, his brother is like a Hokage, so they gave us that, like, okay, damn, here y'all go, here's like a black Hokage or whatever, but, yeah, I don't know, I just think we deserve better than that, so, yeah.
That's fair. Somebody, give me that, I promise you, give me that. Please, thank you.
So, I disagree with both of them, and I start off by saying Killer B was the first Cherokee to internalize a friendship with his tail beast. He was the first Cherokee to internalize a friendship. He was the first Cherokee to also perfect the tail beast bond. So when you look at that perspective, it takes away from him being an oaf. But when you also look at his relationship with his brother and who his brother was, like he said, the black characters had lightning power. But you also gotta look at it and understand that his brother was technically the head of the Hokage force. Because when they met, he said at the head of the table, his opinion held the most weight. When you look at him versus Minato, he was the only person to ever fight Minato and match his power. So when you look at the black people in Naruto, it wasn't like a takeaway or a stereotype. It's just Killer B, the lifestyle he had and who his brother and dad was, he wanted to take another route because if you look into the Mawa, he was actually one that was going to be trained to be the Raikage, but he didn't want to be the Raikage because it was too much pressure.
Oh, man. Let me just be real honest with y'all about something. I don't know shit about Naruto, bro. I Googled and saw this dude for what the soldier said. I thought it was a presentation. I don't know shit about Killer B, but I know about other ones. Go ahead.
I appreciate what you said in the context, but I think showing his positives and cool feats that he did is regardless of him being problematic or not. Like, that's great. He has to be redeemable. He's a good character that's going to be doing things. The main character, side character. But my main problem is really there's no reason why he has to be rapping and doing all these dancing. Like, honestly, let's call it what it is. They got him tap dancing and cooning. They got him doing minstrel, and that's like, there's no reason for that. That's unnecessary, unneeded. You could have done without. And that's all I got to say.
Can I just say one thing to that? And go ahead, y'all. I appreciate that. I just want to say one thing to that. And then y'all can feel free to grow. Yeah, why is it though that like there's a lot of characters in Naruto and there's a lot of characters in anime that have something uniquely them and special to them? So why does him rapping have to be a black stereotype? Why can't him rapping and doing music just be a stereotype we don't like? So I guess I'm wondering. I think of a character. I think of like. I'm trying to think of this character. But there was a character in Naruto, and he had a unique gift that I didn't necessarily like, but I was like, that's fine. But I actually found Killer B rapping to be kind of cool and kind of funny. It didn't bother me. I didn't really find it negative until I saw other people saying it was like a minstrel scene. And a lot of people looked at it as Michigan J. Frog, with spoiler alert, that's number 3 coming up after Killer B. But, so I don't know. That's a good point. I'm thinking about that. That's a good point. You wanted to. Yeah. And look, I'm about to get one more person. I have to move on to my frog after this.
I'll be quick. So I just wanted to like, it's more like commentary, people can think about whether it's problematic or not, is that Killer B is a representation of black people in media, produced by people who are not black in our current culture and don't have their experiences. So while we understand like instantly, we have that lived experience to know that what's right and wrong, we know what perfection looks like, we have the capability to represent that well. The rest of the world doesn't necessarily have it. So while I look at this and I say, yes, there's problematic parts about this character, at that time, I feel like Killer B was one of the first black characters in anime that didn't look like a Civil War doll, you know, with the big ass lips and shit, which feels like a step forward, which has led to more and more and more steps forward. It's not perfect, but you know, that's how the road is sometimes for artists.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, you had your hand up the longest. Did you want to say something? Yeah, you can go. Yeah. I'll come around to you. Sure, I'll run. Give me 1 second. Don't worry about it. All right.
Thank you. Okay, so like old dude back there, Naruto is my first shonen, and I feel like when you look at Naruto, one of the biggest points of it is his characters. Like, sure, there's like 300 people in this show. You can't keep track of all of them. But like a big part of it was the character, their personalities, their relationships, and how they form the plot and the theme of the show. And I feel like while Killer B does have a lot to him, I feel like despite the fact that he's one of the Jinchuriki, which is one of the biggest parts of the show since our main character isn't Jinchuriki, he feels flat. Like if you look at Gaara, you see so much of Gaara's background, you see so much of Gaara's relationship, his development. And if you get to Killer B, which is like, I'm being honest with you, the only other Jinchuriki name I know, don't hate the rest of them, I don't remember their names. We get to him, he's one of the popular ones. And we don't get much about him. We don't get no backstory. We don't get his development. And like while he does have a good relationship with Naruto, we don't get into the depths that Gaara does. I mean, yeah, but I feel like Killer B could have had more to him that I feel like he didn't. On top of like, he's a fun character. We enjoy him. But on top of like some of the stereotypes that we've already mentioned here, I just feel like he falls kind of flat sometimes compared to a lot of the other characters that are like him.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay. And look, let me just make sure that I remind y'all, I don't think any of y'all are right or wrong. I'm just here to get perspective so I can con DreamCon and to let me come back for a 4th year. And I'm just going to steal everything that y'all say, put it in another presentation, and have y'all come back next year. So look, like, I'm actually doing something real interesting. I The reason being, I'm gonna speed through Killer Bees because everything that I have, y'all literally said every single point that I was gonna hit on separately. So I'm just gonna breeze through and we're gonna get to the next dude, which is Michigan J. Frog. Y'all remember Michigan J. Frog? Yeah. You're like, hello, welcome. Like, talk about minstrelsy. Yeah, like y'all remember? Okay. So he's from Warner Brothers. So he was originally in Warner Brothers in like the 30s, 40s. Oh, excuse me, the 50s. He went away, came back in the 90s, and it's interesting because I think he came back to push black sitcoms along, which I thought was pretty fucked up. Because when he came back, which I'm gonna get to this, I'm skipping parts, but when he came back, you'll notice that the very first block on WB that he came back was Saturday morning, but it was when the black shows came on. So his first time when he came back in the 90s was when Wayans brothers, Jamie Foxx, and what was like my notes right here, and Smart Guy premiered on WB, and that's when they started pushing Michigan J. Frog again in the 90s, only for him to be canceled again in 2005 because of shocker racism. So, does anybody disagree that Michigan J. Frog is problematic? Brother, I'm gonna do just that. So let me give y'all a little sauce. So first, is Michigan J. Frog just a tribute to old school performance or a relic of minstrelsy and racism? Well, so I don't think it's the same thing because I think on one hand, you can look at a character like him and go, okay, good, he's just, like if he was banging, like if he was playing on a trumpet and he was dancing and tap dancing while playing on the trumpet, could I go, okay, well it's just him liking Louis Armstrong, so that's all. He's not being racist, he's just a caricature of Louis Armstrong, let's move on. But the fact that he takes off his hat and he dances and he tap dances and he smokes a cigar and he goes off to the side and gets beat by people in random Saturday and Sunday morning blocks, it's like, why all that extra shit? Why not just have him dance and then move on? Why give us a backstory about this frog who smokes cigars and gets mistreated by other cartoon characters? So I just think it was interesting. Plus, any character to me, going back to the Goofy presentation, any character to me that was created in the 50s, I just automatically think is racist because why are you making a cartoon in 1955 and have him playing jazz? I just think that that's where you even like jazz. Why are you giving this frog jazz powers? So I just think that was kind of weird in general. Right. And it's a frog, right? You'd be the dirtiest character that notoriously has to be kissed to be pretty. So next, can we separate, which is kind of what I think you were saying, can we separate a character's aesthetic from the racialized performance traditions that he pulls from? So, I need to ask a question though, do you view Michigan J. Frog as racist? Let me ask this differently. Who doesn't view Michigan J. Frog as a racist character? Over here. Okay, sure, yeah, I'll run to you. Give me 1 second. No big deal, go ahead.
I remember watching, we had a whole bunch of like the old school, like Looney Tunes and everything like that on VHS. And there's a lot of racial like caricatures and that and everything. I saw Michigan as like, he kind of seemed like a theater dude. Like in the world that he lived in, he might have been a caricature, but in the shorts that I remember watching, correct me if I'm wrong, the white dude wanted to profit from him. And he was basically trolling him the whole time. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this for you. However, I think of him as more of like, I'd say he is like black and he's just stuck in his circumstance because I can see the minstrelsy, but again, I'm thinking of like the people back then who weren't able to actually perform the way that they would want to and everything, so you kind of dealing with what you got, because again, he wasn't doing it for the masses, he was doing it for himself, and he was kind of trolling the white man while he was doing it. So I enjoyed him. He was always a fun character for me.
That's the way to look at it. I like the last thing you said. That's a good way to put it. I appreciate that.
So to that point, I agree. I didn't really see him as as racist or anything as it may seem. However, look at something like Princess and the Frog. 90% of Princess and the Frog was a black character. She was a frog. So I can see how they put her in the movie. You know what I'm saying? You can sell dolls and stuff off of it, but they didn't really give a good representation. However, compared to like Moana and all the other ones where they're human the entire movie, and they can show their face, they can show their representation, all of that. So I can definitely see both sides.
Appreciate it. And see, this is the problem with me doing like presentations like this because I save y'all the trouble from doing all this Googling, and I get cartoons and stuff ruined for me doing these because I like Michigan J. Frog. I thought he was cool and funny. But then the more I read about it, like the more I read about stuff, y'all ever do that when you like read about something and then it like ruins it for you because it's like, fuck, I didn't know it was based off a racist character. Like, goddamn, like I'm glad we claimed them, but it's like you couldn't have that either. Like even that had to be racist. So it's like the more I just discover these cartoons and shows, I like have these racist, prejudiced, sexist undertones. It's like, I don't know, it just kind of gets, you get jaded after a while, and then you just start trying to find problems and stuff where maybe none exist. Did anybody have anything else?
So the question becomes now then, can you separate the entertainment, can you kind of compartmentalize the part that what you enjoyed about Michigan J. Frog from before you had this madman's knowledge about his origins? You know, first of all, Station Bell said, fuck that frog, yeah. But, you know, to your first point, I do see them as one and the same because entertainment from that time period, it was mostly us doing that entertainment. Even when white folk were doing it, they were imitating black folk. Jazz and all that stuff was imitation. So, yeah, I can't really separate either one from it. That all being said, I knew, you know, I grew up with Mammy 2 Feet from Tom and Jerry. I grew up with all these other versions of us looking silly. So just for my own sake and sanity and peace, yeah, I compartmentalize that into a world where, you know, racism wasn't as much of an issue as it actually was. But then again, I was able to do that, to separate those two fantasy worlds and reality.
I got you. There's a reason I didn't put Mammy in here, because that would have just been a waste of everybody's time. Because she was clearly racist. She was the Aunt Jemima of Cartoon Network, so I had no business with her in here. She was a character, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm gonna skip through that because again, y'all are smart. Like, there's no reason to keep going through that. So now we're gonna have fun now. So now, as my presentation is gonna go to an end for people who have been to this panel a few years ago all the way to last year, this is the part where I just rapid fire. Let's say people that I call honorable mentions. These are people where I don't have any topics or talking points for you. I or someone I know thinks that this character is black, so we're just gonna go to it. First, A-double-D. Black what you want to say. Go back to your seats. Go back to your seats. Dismiss. You can leave. Daffy Duck. they mad that I got a family they don't. but one really good piece of feedback that I got was I focused too much on characters that are black coded and not black. And I'm gonna fix that like right now. So, what we're gonna do. So it's like, you know, like from Gerald to Craig, like we're finally getting these multiple